Courtside Conversations.
Courtside Conversations.
The Roland-Garros Tennis Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Courtside Conversations, the official Roland-Garros podcast. I'm Gigi Salmon, and together with special guests, we are going to be keeping you company throughout the year. And with that in mind, I'm absolutely delighted to say that with me today, former WTA player and podcast host, a woman who reached number 4 in the world, winner of 11 titles, including the year-ending finals and 2 Grand Slam doubles titles, who played her final event recently at the US Open after getting married in the summer. Caroline Garcia, thank you so much for being with us and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. That was quite the introduction.
Well, it sounds strange for me to describe you as a former player. Does it sound strange for you to hear that?
Yeah, I think it's quite recent. So obviously not many people yet call me a retired former tennis player. And even myself, last week we were in an event and they're like, oh, so what do you do? Like, are you playing tennis? Things like that. I was like, well, actually, I was a player, but I just played my last tournament last week. So I'm changing job, I guess, now. So yeah, I think it's obviously quite new. Even if I prepared myself, I'm very in peace with my decision. But the title to what you're doing in your life is changing. So it's a good change, though.
I wanted to ask you, announced your retirement pre-Roland-Garros this year, and you say you're at peace with it. Was it difficult to find that peace? Did you wake up one morning? Was it something that had been coming for a while? How did you come to the decision that this was the right time?
So the 2 previous season for me was very tough. Not especially like with my results. Maybe it was more disappointing than what my goal was. But it was more like mentally to cope with it, to cope with the lifestyle, to cope with the loss, and also sometimes the wins, and the routine and the stress. I was in a very bad place, affecting my sleep, affecting my daily mood. So I decided to take a break end of last year, because I was hating tennis. I was telling my husband, like, hey, when I'm done, we can do anything you want, but I will never play tennis. I will never step a feet on that court. And I took some time and I worked a lot on it. We worked a lot on it as a team with my husband, with my psychologist as well. And yeah, we realized like I didn't hate tennis. I hate where I was at that moment and all the stress and all the expectation I put on it. And so little by little, I went back on court, just having fun. And yeah, I'm glad I play one more year, one more season. And I stopped in my own term. I didn't stop because my body couldn't handle it, because I hated tennis, or that's what I thought. And yeah, I'm very in peace. I took my decision end of last season. So end of last year, I know it was going to be my last season, but I was not sure if I wanted to announce it or not, because also I wanted to play like relax. I wanted to play in peace. I didn't want people to keep asking me, so how do you feel, And yeah, it felt right to announce it in Roland-Garros, because obviously it's the tournament closest to my heart, even if I would have liked to play better there during my career. But it felt right to be able to live that experience one more time.
And how special and emotional was that final Roland-Garros? This is a place where you became a Grand Slam champion twice over in doubles. So how emotional just was the build-up and then actually walking out onto the court for what would be the final time there?
It was very emotional. Unfortunately, I arrived very unprepared because I was dealing with quite a tough back injury who took me away from court for almost like 2.5 months. And even in the gym, I could barely do anything. So I was very unprepared. But for me, it was very important to play these tournaments. I really try hard. I put everything I could, like physio, fitness, and did the best I could with what I had. But it was very emotional because I felt I could enjoy the moment. I could I had nothing to lose. I wanted to feel the support of the French fans. Many times I played this tournament like over stress, so I was never really able to like enjoy it and welcome the support and feel the love. Um, I kind of felt it the first time kind of in Paris at the Olympic last year. So for me it was important to be there, to open my heart, to feel like all the support and what it looked like I brought to French fan. And yeah, it was very emotional because obviously winning Roland Garros was also my dream, my goal, and also it meant that I will never do it, but I did it in doubles, so it was a very special um, memory, very special moment. Especially the second one was so unexpected. But yeah, obviously, it also meant that I was never going to be able to do it in singles. I tried every single time with the best I had, and most of the time, my emotion got the best of me.
Is there, when you look back at your career, is there, maybe you haven't had time to, is there one moment? So for me, when you won the tour ending finals, you were 2 points from defeat against Daria Kasatkina. You would go on to beat Aryna Sabalenka in the final. It's just such a moment. But is there something from everything you've done, if you could keep one memory or one moment, do you know what that would be?
That's always tough because I feel every single tournament you win, there is always something very special about it, like to finish the tournament undefeated and to be able to cope with like a 1 week or a 2 week event. I didn't win 2 weeks event though, but a long, like 1 week intense tournament. It feels very special. But obviously for me, I will say winning Iga in Warsaw was very important, and the Cincinnati week.
Yeah, no, that was I remember it. That was absolutely incredible, and so many memories for you there. If you accepted a wild card into the US Open, what was your thinking about New York and the US Open being the final event that you would play?
Yeah, like unfortunately, like this season didn't really go as planned because I was going through a lot of injury with my shoulder and then with my back. So I play way less tournaments that I wanted to play. All the clay court season outside of Roland Garros, I was not able to play it. And obviously, for me, as being French and being like European, like it meant a lot to be able to play like Madrid, where I had good result, and Rome with the tournament I like. So for me, it was kind of tough. And then I didn't make the cut neither for Wimbledon men draw, and I was not ready for play to play qualies. Um, so I felt at one moment like I wanted to play a bit more, but as I was injured, like, and I didn't play enough last year neither, my ranking dropped quite a lot, and I didn't prepare myself for Roland Garros to be my last tournament ever. Obviously, I was ready for it to be my last Roland Garros, which is already a huge thing, but I was not ready for it to be my last tournament ever. So I really wanted to try to prepare myself very well, to give myself a chance to be competitive. So I did a very good preparation for Cincinnati and for US Open, knowing it was my last one. So sometimes stepping on court a bit tired, I was like, I wonder what am I doing there. But it's in my DNA to step on court every single time to as prepare as I can. So I was very happy. I had a good time practicing and doing it for the last time. And obviously, it was special to play a last slam.
And a semi-finalist in New York from 2022. So you went in, whatever the preparation, you went in from a tournament you enjoyed and you had good memories.
Yes, of course. Like it was my best result ever in slam. I probably had my chances to go all the way, but Ons was just better on that day. And obviously, this 2022 tournament meant a lot for me by the result, but also by the way I arrived there. Like every single match was very good matches, was very solid. It was a good time overall as well because it's also important to be able to enjoy yourself out there. So yeah, it was obviously special, and to finish by a slam, even if I would have liked to be able to win a couple of more matches, but it was this way. But I'm very happy I was able to step on court. I was able to play. Physically, I felt good. Obviously, tennis, I probably missed a bit of rhythm, but you can't do much if you cannot really play before that. But it was perfect.
Now, you definitely enjoyed yourself in New York. I saw one of your posts on Instagram. I think you listed 10 things. Among them were playing a match, recording podcasts, singing karaoke. I mean, you definitely kept yourself busy in New York.
Yeah, we went there with some actually WTA staff member, and it was very nice. It's something I never did before, and we were there with my husband and some very good friend of us. So it was very nice. It was good
For
memory.
people who are listening and they've never been to New York, maybe they've never been to the US Open, how would you describe the US Open? Because each Grand Slam has its own personality. So how would you describe it to someone?
US Open is just loud, hectic and loud. Yeah, like in 2022, I'll play night session on Armstrong at 7. And after the 4 minutes warm up, I went to the umpire and I was like, I'm sorry, is it always that loud? Like, is it going to stay that loud? It was like that kind of buzz, permanent buzz. And I really went to the umpire and I was like, excuse me, is it that loud? She was like, yes, it is. Yeah. I like, interesting. It's actually not bad. You have to get used to it, and it's going to be like permanent, which is actually at the end fine. What bother most of the time player is just like the ups and downs. And then yeah, everywhere you go is like hectic, loud. It's most of the time hot and humid. A bit less this year, but most of the time it's it's a tough tournament.
Yeah, and the bus ride from Manhattan. It's a very tough tournament. It's exhausting.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and you arrive back in your hotel in Manhattan, and it's still loud and hectic.
it's the city that never sleeps. It's just permanently kind of on. I'd love to chat to you a little bit about the tournament, and I'd like to start with Aryna Sabalenka, the favourite in many people's eyes going in. You played her 5 times. You had a winning head-to-head 3-2. And I know the last meeting, it was the Tour Finals final when you won. But what is it like to face Aryna Sabalenka on a tennis court and on a hard court? What are the challenges you face?
I think since the last time I played her, she becomes the Aryna Sabalenka that we now know, like number one Grand Slam winner. Obviously, she still have the very same strength. Like she's powerful. She wants to take advantage and like control the game with like a big serve, which is way more consistent now than it was at one moment of her career. She can still sometimes have bad moments and do a bit more double fault, but most of the time it's quite solid and she get a lot of free point out of it, or at least a short ball where she can afterwards manage with her forehand. She moved well for the gabarit and like how tall she is. She moves well, and she has kind of that presence, like she's obviously loud when she hits the ball, but it's more like she imposed herself. She plays with all of her emotions. Sometimes she may have lost a couple of matches because of that, but she probably won a lot because she played with like her heart and her emotions. Um, yes, obviously she was one of the favorites, but she said, if I don't not mistaken, that if she didn't win a slam this year, it would have been a disappointing year. So she really wanted it. And sometimes when you want something too much, you kind of don't make it happen. So I thought at one moment she will get too emotional about it, but it looked like she learned a lot from her previous final.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting you say that. Let's have a listen to Aryna Sabalenka because she was actually talking about what she took and what she learnt from her previous 2 Grand Slam finals.
Like after Australia Open, I thought that the right way would be just to forget it and move on. But then the same thing happened at the French Open. So after French Open, I figured that, okay, maybe it's time for me to sit back and to look at those finals and to maybe learn something, because I didn't want it to happen again and again and again. So yeah, I was in Mykonos, reading my book, enjoying the view, and and I was just thinking that why would I let my emotions to take control over me in those two finals? And it felt like I thought that, okay, if I made it to the final, it means that I'm going to win it, and I sort of didn't expect players to come out there and to fight. I thought that everything going to go easily my way, which was completely wrong mindset, And going into this final, I decided for myself that I'm going to control my emotions. I'm not going to let them take control over me. And doesn't matter what happens in the match, if she break me back or if she plays incredible tennis. I mean, of course, it's a finals and she's going to be fighting, especially after recent final. I knew that she would love to have, like a better result. So my mindset was just going out there, fight for every point, doesn't matter of the situation, just focus on myself and focus on things that I have to do to win the match. And I think from what I understand today, that the lesson learned, and I really hope it will never happen again if I'm going to be playing another finals, that I'll be more in control.
Looking from the outside, and you talked about emotions that would get to you maybe at Roland-Garros, it was a crushing blow for her in the Australian Open final. And then in Roland-Garros, it seemed to be devastating. So for her to turn that around and then end the year with a slam, it feels, she did look controlled. It feels very impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it's not easy to learn about like tough moment, tough final. I saw only one part of the Australian Open final, so I cannot judge all of that. But I saw a good amount of the Roland-Garros final, and it was tough to watch. Obviously, like Coco played a great match. She stayed there. She tried to improve her level and made Aryna played. But from Aryna, it was obviously you could see she was really struggling mentally and emotionally, that she really wanted it, but she kind of lost track of how she was supposed to do it. And it was hard because she was dominating like all year long. She was like the absolute number one. She was very solid, not having a lot of bad matches. So she completely deserved a US Open title. And she learned a lot. It looks like after every time she has a little step down, she's able to take time, maybe not always immediately, but she's always able to like take some time and learn from her mistake and try to do it differently, which is a very good thing she has for sure.
And they say you learn more in defeat than in victory. You only have to look at Amanda Anisimova. I mean, double bageled in the Wimbledon final. It was just heartbreaking to watch. And then to be able to get back-to-back Grand Slam finals and to beat Iga Świątek along the way. I mean, that takes so much courage.
It was super impressive. It felt like the Wimbledon final, like kind of the first game of the match was very important. She was a bit stressed, but it was not such a disaster neither. But the thing also, she was playing Iga, who is probably one of the best player in finals. She is able to prepare herself to compete and get the best of herself in final is very impressive. So obviously Iga was like super ready since the very first point of that Wimbledon final. Obviously Amanda was a bit tight, completely understandable. And those first three games may change the whole match. And after, it's like kind of a roller. It's like a washing machine, like then Iga started to play better and better. The other one was like kind of lost, and then it completely went sideways. But I think she's having an amazing season. She learned so much from this season. I don't know what her goals were at the beginning of the season, but I guess she completely like did so much better than what she was supposed to accomplish, But yeah, a lot of respect for how she improved just managing emotion for this final, and I'm sure she's gonna keep going very, very strong.
You mentioned Iga Świątek. She has been one of your many guests on your podcast. And I thought the interesting thing, because she describes herself as an introvert, is we got to learn more about her. And I think that was the interesting thing for me. We know what she can do on a tennis court, but it's about getting to know the person behind the tennis player.
Yeah. So we had Iga. We recorded at the end of December. We wanted to discover who she really was, like how she became such a great champion with Iga behind the tennis racket. I was very surprised to hear that she went to school until 18, to a normal school with like kids, and I think it's quite surprising, and we learn a lot about how she tried to open herself more, and how she's more open to do like dinner with friends even before a 1000 final, and that it doesn't change anything. If you're ready and if you're in a good mental state, you're going to be able to compete and play at your level. And obviously she has a way to do things and to be performant on court, that maybe sometimes she may look like a robot, but outside of that, outside of the court, I guess she's a very different person, like most of the player. And she's still so young. Like sometimes we forget how young she is, how well she did already. And she's a real inspiration. And for us was, I think it's one of the best memory I have from the podcast is discovering who is Iga.
No, it's so fascinating for us to see that side of her, because you don't get to see it. And I think another guest you heard was Naomi Osaka, who you've faced on the tennis court. She's taken time away, come back, and it was quite tough to listen that she's such a perfectionist and she's so hard on herself.
Yeah, we recorded that one at Wimbledon last year, and obviously we didn't have so much experience. At that moment, we were still new in the game of media, and it was a big deal to have Naomi Osaka, to have the trust of her team, and also to trust of Naomi to do it. And I obviously know her from the tour, but it's not like because she was away with her pregnancy, so I didn't see her that much neither. And we asked her quite basic question about like her first win at US Open against Serena, and she started to cry. And we were like, okay, like, because we didn't expect it at all. Our question was not like supposed to be that emotional. So we got a bit like frozen and like, hey, if you want to take time, like we can, it's not live. And it was very hard to see after so many years how still this moment hurted her. Like the fans, the reaction on Twitter. She was telling us about like reading Twitter after her US Open final, and how she was reading like tough moments that she just got lucky or things like that. And you could see how much still she was affected by it, even if it was so many years ago and so many things happened. She became a mom, and you could see she was still very like hurt by it. And sometimes you don't realize how a mean comment or unrespectful things can very hurt like the person behind the racket. And like there is things like we are sensible, players are emotional, and players try their best every single day, and they are just human at the end.
I think possibly the strongest person is Coco Gauff. She's 21 years of age. She's 2 Grand Slam singles titles already, and all the focus on the forehand, on the serve. Then before the US Open, she gets rid of Matt Daly, and then she brings in Gavin McMillan, the biomechanics, and she's on the practice court reworking her serve in front of everybody, to the point where she goes on court and everybody in this 24,000 seater stadium is gasping when she double faults. I mean, I don't know how she has the strength to go through all that in the public eye.
Yeah, it's quite something to see how harsh people are on Coco, because first she's so young and she has been dealing with pressure since she's 16 years old, and she has been dealing with it very well. She's a 2-time champion, like you said. She won Roland-Garros this year despite doing double faults and having maybe sometimes a forehand where she can frame, but she won Roland-Garros despite that. So just like, if maybe she still improve her serve, that obviously she can improve, and her forehand, how dangerous and how good she's going to be.
Yeah, it's just how strong she is. Just everything in your sport, when you talked about going to Roland-Garros, the pressure on you, everything is played out in the public. Everything is happening with the spotlight on you.
Yeah, it's always on the spotlight. And I thought from Coco was a very like bold move, and to change her team and to start to work very specifically on her serve right before US Open, which is probably the most important tournament for her of her season. But that means like obviously she wanted to play as good as possible in US Open, but her mindset and her goal was more like mid and long term. Like she wants to change things, and she understood that at one moment she has to do it. And doesn't matter if she may have lost earlier in US Open. You know, she's a champion, a young champion who wants to see long term, and she's like, okay, looks like she's fully aware that maybe for now it's kind of her weakness sometimes. And she's working on it for like mid and long term, and like respect for that.
If we move to the men's side of things, it just feels, I don't know how you see it, but it feels like Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, they've not only set the bar, but they've pretty much separated themselves from the rest of the players.
Obviously, Yannick and Carlos are above all the other players for now. But they kind of need, well, Carlos definitely needs Sinner because he started to play really good this year when Yannick came back. Which looks like the mentality of Yannick is a bit different. But Carlos needs competition. He needs someone, he needs a rival. And when he has one, he's very, very good. And his focus is way better and more consistent.
How important are rivalries in the sport of tennis?
Well, obviously, it's very important. I mean, it's at the end, it's a game where on court you're two and you need to be better than your opponent on this day, but also overall through the year. And sometimes if you need to, I mean, you need to keep improving your game, but if you don't have someone who push you to be better, you will not do it. So if you're not pushed to get better, you will probably go like slowly worse and worse. And also for the fans, you know, like it's important to be able to pick a side, even if it doesn't really matter. But if when you watch tennis and at the end you don't really care who is going to win, it's not as emotional. It's not like as sport, you know, like you need to pick a fight. That's why sometimes, most of the time, people get very emotional watching football, you know. You want your team to win. And I guess in tennis, in the same, you need rivalry. That's why also when Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer and Murray was there, tennis was so popular. It was like, who is gonna win? Like, is my favorite gonna win?
Yeah, and we're really lucky to have these two guys who've appeared. If we separate them, what makes Carlos Alcaraz so special as a player?
My opinion is because he's so complete and he can do everything. And he can do everything very, very well. It's like, I mean, at the beginning when you arrive, his serve was was not as good. And in the last year, he improved it a lot by his speed and also by his accuracy. Against Sinner, he served very well. Every time he was in danger, he was able to get an ace or like a short ball and do the winner in 2 shots, which was not always the case before. And he can do everything. Obviously, he hits the ball very hard from the back of the court. He can use some more like effect and like volume in his shot. At the net, he's good. He has great hand. Best drop shot there is right now on tour. He moves very well. Mentally, he's quite. Sometimes he was losing a bit his focus. He was doing some more like shots or whatever, and now he plays very like accurate. Sometimes he understood that his speed of the ball is just too good for the other one to cope with it, so he just play with that. Like the final against Sinner was very impressive. It was not as spectacular as Roland-Garros or things like that, but the guy was just so much better.
I'm not sure anything will be better than the Roland-Garros final. I mean, that was that was 5.5 hours of. That was phenomenal. I mean, I'm sure you saw it, spoke to people about it. That was incredible.
I mean, obviously the level was very good, and then the comeback was just insane. Like already come back from like low 40 to on match point is quite rare. To do it in a final of a slam the way he did it, and then winning in 5 was just like unreal. And the level was like they were able to play very well at the same time, so obviously was doing everyone even a better show, better rallies. Clay court also probably helped that. At the US Open, it's quite a fast court. So it was just like perfect for the show and the memory.
So Carlos Alcaraz would win in Paris, Jannik Sinner would win in Wimbledon. Have a listen to Alcaraz describing what he did post-Wimbledon to make a change and to better challenge Sinner.
I started the Wimbledon final. As I said, I spoke with my coaches, and we saw the Wimbledon final, and we spoke about what we could have done better in that match, just in case I'm gonna face him in another time. So we watch it, we put everything, or we note everything, and we work on it, and we just played that game. It doesn't matter. Or at the beginning, we thought, okay, it doesn't matter if you lose or he wins or I win. I just wanted to do the right things. If I'm doing the right things and he plays an unbelievable match and he beat you, it's okay. But at least you did the right things. I think today worked really well. I did everything they told me that I had to do, and it worked. It works pretty well.
It's exactly as you said. He needs Jannik Sinner to better himself.
Yeah. I think he really needs a rivalry, and the one of now it's Jannik Sinner. And obviously he knows to do everything, but he needs someone in front of him to be able to challenge him and like push himself a bit farther, you know.
So the same question to you I asked about Alcaraz, but what makes Jannik Sinner so special as a tennis player?
The speed of his ball, the way he hits the ball, and it looks like he's taking time away from the opponent. In a way, he's able to not miss, even if he hits the ball so hard. He moves very well, and he moves well, but when he arrives to the ball, he's able to hit it hard again, not just like push it in. Very good server now, also a great returner. Maybe for now, compared to Alcaraz, is a bit less comfortable at the net and with all like the shot a bit more like in touch. Or I think he will be able to do it. It just for now he felt maybe he didn't need it so much. But I'm pretty sure he's quite talented and hard worker, so I have full confidence in him. Same at the beginning was not a great server, then he worked on it and now he's one of the best. So it's just like very interesting, and like mentally he's always there. In the fourth, he was down 5-1 or 5-2, and he was watching it, looking at his box, like encouraging himself, like, hey, you know what, I can do it. Like every point, fist pump, looking at the box, like positive, you know. It's like it's 5-1 down, and you could see like, I don't know, you felt like could not happen anything to Alcaraz. But the guy mentally was there, and it looked like he's committed to improve his game also.
It's interesting you talk about the changes. Have a listen to Sinner, who knows that if he's to turn around his head-to-head with Alcaraz, then variety is key.
I was very predictable today, on court, in a way of he did many things. He changed up the game. That's also his style of how he plays. Now it's gonna be on me if I'm if I want to make changes or not, you know. So that's definitely, we are gonna work on that. Trying to be more prepared for the next match, what I will play against him, and it also, I feel like, depends how you arrive to play against Carlos. You know, one thing is when the scoreline, you know, matches before are comfortable, but you always do the same things, you know, like I did, for example, during this tournament. You know, I didn't make one serve volley, you know, I didn't use a lot of drop shots, and then you arrive to a point where you play against Carlos where you have to go out of the comfort zone, you know. So I'm gonna, you know, aim to, you know, maybe even losing some matches from now on, but, you know, trying to do some changes, you know, trying to be a bit more unpredictable as a player, and because I think that's what I have to do, trying to become a better tennis player.
Caroline, how you had great touch, you came forward. How easy is that to teach if maybe it's not natural to your game?
I mean, obviously, we are talking about Sinner, who is like a very talented player, who is very hardworking, is definitely not going to have any fitness issue by sprinting to the net after a great shot. He had the great shot before that, like he's powerful, his forehand and backhand are like super solid, super fast. So I think he's probably just have to repeat it a lot and get the confidence out of it, and choose the right moment to do it in the rallies, and you will be able to do it. Obviously, the first time you will play against Carlos is one of the best mover, one of the best hitter of passing shots. So it's not going to be as easy, but it will have, the last final show us that Yannick have to bring something else to Carlos, especially when Carlos is so like inspired and motivated and healthy. But Yannick will be able to. He proved to us in Roland-Garros that he's a great competitor in a surface that maybe was less his favorite. But yeah, it looked like in the final, like the shot of Sinner was not bothering Carlos as much as in the past, and he kind of knew what was going to happen. But I think like the same way we were talking about Coco, that she's seeing mid and long term, and she wants to change things in her game style. It looked like Yannick is willing to, like you say, last couple of matches to be able to improve, and he understood that sometimes when you change things, you may be a bit more uncomfortable and may for a little amount of time do more mistakes, so you may lose more matches, even if I'm not sure we lost way more matches than that, but he's willing to do so, and congrats on that mindset. Because when you're at the top and there is all the expectation, judgment, media on you, it's not easy to always cope with it, but it looks like he's willing to do it to become a better player.
Now, not according to the rankings, but it feels that Novak Djokovic is the third best player in the world at the moment. How impressed are you with what he continues to do and achieve at the age of 38?
It's just insane. It's just like he's playing like 5 tournaments a year. Every time, maybe the first match sometimes is a bit like messy, but he gets through it and he just become a better and better player through the tournament. It just seems that at the end his body and we kind of stop him a bit. He's less able to recover as fast and as well as before. And when arrives the moment to play Alcaraz or Sinner in best of 5, he's unfortunately not able to do it anymore. Maybe in best of 3 he can do more things, but best of 5, it looks like he's a bit struggling this year. I mean, that's what his result shows. But yeah, it's impressive how good he is with the little of tournament he plays and how he's able to adapt to the younger generation. And yeah, he plays so well. It's so nice to see.
I want to spend a couple of minutes talking post-tennis for you, because you wrote, this is not retirement. I am simply changing roles. So is the plan, and you've been through so much with the sport, is the plan to stay in tennis?
I mean, you cannot really retire at 31 years old, like it's not I'm going to do nothing for the rest of my life. I'm full of energy, I'm full of ideas, and I want to do things, it's not like I just want to travel in holidays for the rest of my life, obviously. So it's just a change of jobs, probably a less intense one, less physical, but I want to keep going the podcast, and we have been growing a lot this year. We got more and more the trust of players and their team to come, be open, be vulnerable, and inspire others. So, of course, we are going to travel in some tournaments to be able to do those recordings and keep sharing all this experience, all these tips to be living tennis in a healthy way, to do it the right way, to keep that balance. So that's going to be a great project that my husband and I have. And also for me, it's very therapeutic to be able to hear about other stories, to learn some things, to share those moments with my former friends from tennis. And then let's see what other opportunity comes along the way. This is already a great project. Spending a bit of time more like relax, enjoy some time off, but we'll see what opportunity comes.
How did the idea for the podcast come about?
So it started October 23. We were in China after a tough month in China already. And so my husband, boyfriend at the time, was traveling with me and was seeing all the behind the scene he never saw before. I've always been a big fan of tennis, watching a lot of matches and things like that, but never saw the behind the scene, what I was going through, but also what he was seeing other players go through. And he came to me with a idea of like doing something, trying to be that platform players didn't have to like share things. Because in my case, there's things I wanted to be able to share, but I never felt like I had a safe platform to do it. Or every time you kind of sometimes share like a tougher subject, there is like the tough question about the result, which is understandable. It's the role of the media. It's not like we're complaining about it, but I didn't feel that connection with the person who was asking me the question. And I know we are not looking for bad buzz. Like, if you don't like the question, if you don't like the answer you gave us, we are just like, we are our own editor. So we can cut it out. We can give you a listen before we go live. So we wanted to be that safe platform for player where there is like no judgment. Like, we know what you are going through, and we are not going to judge you because you throw your rackets after your double fault on match point. It's like, it's not who we are. And that's how it started. We had no idea if it was going to work or not, how it was going to be welcomed by players and agents, but it's working great.
You tried some commentating in New York. Did you enjoy it?
I didn't do live commentating. I just did like 30 minutes, like talking about the day, about what happened. It was with studio in Paris, so it was very tough. I was just like looking at the camera. I was just by myself. It was tough one. It was tough first try. I think I will give it another try. Obviously, like, I will be traveling in slams with the podcast. So I want to give it another try, but that first experience was tough. was not as good as expected. Also, it's very different to comment tennis than being a player. Obviously, when we started the podcast, we learned a lot. Like, we are doing way better interview now than at the beginning. And I guess if I start in broadcasting, it's going to be the same. At the beginning, I will be uncomfortable. I will not have the confidence, and will be looking for my words and things like that. But as long as I'm willing to improve, and it's fine.
And finally, I mentioned at the start that you got married in the summer. You recently said it was time to have a honeymoon. Yeah. So I wondered, it sounds like there's no time, but I wondered if you've have the honeymoon or are you going to have the honeymoon?
So we just did 1 week right after the wedding before going to US Open. We went to Madeira because we wanted to do something to kind of celebrate that very important moment of our life. But I was also preparing for my last US Open season. And so like, I have to train, you know, it's like I have to be ready. So we just did a tiny week where I was going to serve every single day at the end of the day. And we did a lot of hiking and running. So I was definitely fit when I arrived to US. But we are going in October to South Africa and Botswana for safari.
Oh gosh, that sounds amazing. Thoroughly deserved. Caroline, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for taking the time, and we wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a great time.
And that's it from Courtside Conversations. Thank you as always for your company. There's still a lot of tennis to be played, but we are into the final third of the season. So we look forward to being back with you to round up the season a little later in the year. But until next time, take care. Bye for now.